Well, hello there and welcome. This is my tutorial for how you can create a guardian farm that uses nether portals to clear the mob cap out very quickly and thus produces a very large number of items per hour. Using nether portals like this means that you can put the AFK spot way up in the sky, which means you do not need to worry about lighting any underground caverns or anything like that. If you have any nearby islands, you will need to make sure that those are lit up, but that is far less work than having to worry about all the caves that are underground. This farm generates about 65,000 items per hour. The important ones are the Prismarine Crystals, which it generates about 15,000 per hour. That is a little over 4 double chests of Prismarine Crystals per hour. It takes 5 double chests of Prismarine Crystals to make a double chest of sea lanterns, so it'll generate that in a little over an hour. Here on the nether side, you can see exactly how fast this farm is. It is spitting out guardians at an absolutely ridiculous rate, and they are dying because there are wither roses down here. So you will need to get 12 wither roses in order to create this farm, but that's not too many. I'll go over a fairly easy way that you can get those. And then down below here, this is how I've decided to deal with the items. The items are coming through so quickly that it's really hard to deal with them in the nether. So I created a system that generates a minimal amount of lag in order to dispense the items back into the overworld where they can be handled much more easily. The system for spitting items into the overworld is 100% efficient. It leaves no items behind. It's also very lag efficient as well. As you can see here in our tick health, the blocks in the nether is just generating 0.3 of a millisecond per tick. And then blocks in the overworld, that would be the sorting system up there, that is taking only 0.1 of a millisecond. Most of the ticks here are being taken up by the entities. And you can see here in the nether, the item entities are only there for a split second. So this is pretty much all guardians right here. And then over here we've got guardians and item entities in the overworld. So you will want to be aware that this takes up about 23 milliseconds per tick, which is about half of the server time. So if you're playing on a server, be considerate of other users and try to use this when there are fewer players online as possible. However, you don't need to use it very long because it's very fast. So just plan accordingly. And in 1.14, the nether portal efficiency isn't quite as good, so you might actually get worse performance. So be aware of that, especially if on a server. On a single player world, it should be absolutely fine. You can get wither skeletons fairly easily by saving a bunch of chicken eggs, and then you want to throw them in a chamber. Underground probably works the best, where you're going to place a wither, and then they will be in the radius of the wither explosion. So if we create a bunch of chickens here, you only need 12 chickens, but it can't hurt to get as many as possible. And I blocked off the doorway here, and then we go ahead and place the wither skeletons, and then run through the doorway here to get out of the way of the explosion. And then wait, and the withers will explode all the chickens and they will turn into wither roses. And then you just kill the wither normally. You will need to drain the ocean monument completely in order to build this farm. I'll post a link in the description for a video by Elmango which shows you how to make this AFK ocean monument drainer. It's still quite a bit of effort, but it's a lot easier than trying to do it manually. Note that the addition of seagrass and kelp means that Elmango's method will not work unless you remove all of it first. I recommend using potions of invisibility, and make sure you remove any armor as well, and then you should be able to swim around and remove all the seagrass and kelp without too much incident, but you do have to do this in order to use Elmango's method properly. I'll also post another video by CubFan that shows a guardian farm that doesn't involve draining the ocean monument completely. You should be able to replace this water channel right here with a nether portal and then use the tactics throughout the rest of this video to create a farm that's a little bit faster than this farm is right now, but it will not be nearly as fast as the full draining method that I show in the video. The first thing you want to do is find the center of your ocean monument. Ocean monuments are always 58 blocks by 58 blocks. So you can count 29 from one side and then count in 29 blocks. And then you'll have a 4-block center. But as far as I can tell, ocean monuments, the center of them is always in the intersection of 4 chunks. So if you hit F3 plus G to turn your chunk borders on, you'll see these 4 chunks right here. This is your center right here. As far as I can tell, that is always true. If it's not true for some reason, you can always count 29 and 29, but I find that this is much easier. Once you found your center, you want to pillar up from any one of these 4 blocks, and you want to pillar until you reach y equals 57. So if we look at it, we keep pillaring up until we get to 57. And then you want to place an obsidian block at your feet. So jump up so that when you see looking at block, it says 57. And then write down these coordinates right here, the 239, 57, 16. Make sure you write those down. And then you want to fill in the other center block. It doesn't matter which direction you build the nether portal whatsoever. You can build it this way, you can build it that way. It doesn't matter which. And it's not going to be perfectly centered because it's only 1 block wide. You can build 2 nether portals if you want to, if it really bugs you that it's not perfectly centered, but it doesn't really matter. So once you've got your 2 center blocks of your portal, you want to come 5 blocks in each direction in addition to the 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you want to come up 4 blocks and then go all the way across and finish off the portal. It should be 12 blocks by 5 blocks total. Now you can go ahead and light that portal and then step on through it. And then we're going to have to do a little math with those coordinates that we wrote down. So take the x coordinate, in my case it was 239, and divide it by 8, which I will round up to 30. And then take the z coordinate, which in my case was 16, and divide that by 8, and that will make 2. And then just take the y coordinate and leave that alone. So I'm looking for the coordinates that are 20, 57, 2. And this portal isn't super close to that. So I'm actually going to remove this portal entirely. And I'm going to go find those coordinates and I'm going to set up a portal there. I found the coordinates, but in my case, the block is floating over a lava lake, but you really do want to get as close to this coordinate as possible. And then you can build a normal sized nether portal here, and you can do it in whatever direction you want to, but you're going to have another portal that's facing the same direction that's going to be 5 blocks away, so do it in whatever direction is the most convenient for you and keep track of that direction. In my case, I'm going to make the other portal 5 blocks away in this direction, so like right there. So this would be in the -z direction or north. So keep track of that. Don't build the second portal yet, but do build the first portal. Again, it's just a standard size portal, like so. The second portal is going to be 5 blocks over, like I said, but it's also going to be 16 blocks down. So if you built this one at y equals 57, like you probably should have, then the other one is going to be at y equals 41. And then because I started at z equals 2, and this is in the -z direction, I'm going to subtract 5 from that. So that'll be z equals -3. So I'm going to have to pillar over again and build a portal at 30 and 41, -3. This second portal is going to be the standard width of 4 blocks, but it is going to be 14 blocks tall, including the corners. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then there should be a 2 block gap between this level right here and the portal. So 2 blocks. And also make sure that these are aligned perfectly so that these 2 sides are on exactly the same place. And you should end up with a portal that is 14 blocks by 4, and like so. Alright, you can light these portals up. Now, obviously, if you were in survival, you wouldn't want to leave these just open in the air like this. But I'll leave that up to you. And you can go through either one. It doesn't really matter what. They should both take you to this portal right here. And so then we want to go in whatever direction we built that second portal, which in my case was north. So this is north. And we're going to build the second portal out here. So we want to find the center blocks here. So this, the Prismarine blocks down here actually mark the center. And we want to come a few blocks over. We'll say 3. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's at least 2 blocks over. And then we can build the portal over here. And you can just, again, build a standard size portal, like so. And then this will probably link to the first portal we built, like so. But you want to make sure that this second portal down here links to this portal so that we come out there. So check and make sure that your portals are linking up properly, that this one links to, because this one is where you'll send your guardians, and it should land in this top portal. And this one right here is where you will send your items. and it should link to this portal over here. And then again, this one will probably link back to the first portal. If you want it to link to the other portal, you can actually build it underwater. Where we go, north. So you can actually like encage an area down here, sponge it, and then build the portal down there. It won't really matter. If you want to make sure that this one links to its own portal in the Nether, but it doesn't really matter that much. Now let's go on back through to the Nether, and we'll start working on our lower portal frame. Now if you're working in the open air like I am, then you're going to want to build in a cage like this so that gas can't get at you while you're working. So you're going to want to cage off this side of the portal entirely. You can leave yourself a little path or something like that if you want to be able to use that portal. It will be somewhat usable for a while now. And then you want to come up 4 blocks right here. So 4 blocks, and then the 5th block here, that's going to be your floor area. And if you're working in netherrack, then you're going to want to clear out this area like this. So again, the floor will be 5 blocks total up from there, and then you want 2 blocks on each side of the portal. So the wall will be the 3rd block over, and then all the way up to the top of the nether portal. And you can build like a temporary cage like cobblestone or something like that around all the rest of this area. You don't need a ceiling or anything like that just yet, but you might want to still encage something temporary around the rest of this. And then you want to come back. It's going to be a total of 10 blocks of floor, 9 blocks of floor. So this is the middle portal. This is where your upper portal will be. So there'll be 4 blocks of floor on each side of that, like so. This is me from the future. I realized a little while later that placing blocks up against the portal like this causes problems in the overworld where items will get stuck on the portal frame there, and you'll lose a small percentage of items to that, and it'll cause a small amount of lag. It's a really easy fix though. You just need to make sure there's a block of air. You can still put a wall around the portal like so, but you need a block of air between the portal blocks and the wall that you create. So don't put blocks directly against the portal. Just leave a block of air like so. And that's only for the outside part of the portal. On the inside, blocks against the portal frame or portal don't matter at all. And the droppers we're about to place shortly, those are supposed to be directly up against the portal. You'll probably have to break the nether portal in order to place the droppers, because the droppers need to face into the nether portal. So starting just above the floor block that we placed there, you need 4 droppers like so. Skip a block, 4 more droppers, skip a block, 4 more droppers, and that should take you right up to the top of your nether portal. And then you'll have to probably break your way out in order to get out, and then you can fix the nether portal now at this point and relight it. Now you don't need these temporary blocks here, and then we'll come on down to these lower droppers right here, place a solid block on each side of them, place a comparator pointing out from there, and then a sticky piston facing backward like so. And then we'll need to place a temporary block in order to place an observer so that the redstone is facing into the glass. You got to squeeze into that spot there like so, and just try to get in there as tight as possible. And then you want another observer facing the opposite direction that's kitty corner from it, so when the piston extends, those faces will touch each other. And then another observer in the same direction. Same thing on the other side. And then you gotta squeeze in and get an observer facing into the solid block like so. So. And then run hoppers all the way down to the second to last block here. And that is your first row of dropper clocks. For the second row of dropper clocks, you're going to want to place solid blocks behind the droppers, and then comparators pointing out of them. You can place those on the hoppers. And then pistons pointing outward, so they're facing opposite directions, like so. Observers facing backwards, so. And then again, kitty corner and facing the opposite direction. You want 2 observers. Do that on both sides. And then an observer pointing into the solid block like so. And if this floor here is a solid block, then you're probably going to want to put a carpet on top of it to make sure that's not spawnable. Mine's glass, so I don't need to, but do that on both sides because you won't be able to get at that shortly. And then place hoppers on each side of the droppers, and then up one block, and then run them back like so. All the way one short of this, and then run that over that like that. And then over these hoppers you can place composters, not over the last set of hoppers, but over the first 6. And this makes sure that the hoppers generate less lag. Now you're probably going to want to make sure that no mobs can spawn in any of this area, and it's easier if we do that as we go. So you can place carpet on top of these 4 blocks right here, these 2 observers down here, and these 2 observers over here. And you can place glass over any of the pistons or observers that move. You can't place carpets on top of them, so we can place glass on top of this, and then this observer will extend out to that spot, so let's make sure that gets covered as well. And then this observer extends out to here, so glass there, glass there, glass there, glass here. So these 4 blocks, and then these 3 blocks right here. And composters are not spawnable, and we'll worry about the hoppers later. And then one last thing, we should probably put some light blocks over here to make sure that the redstone, the comparators, don't cause light updates that would generate lag. It's a repeating pattern after this point, so for the second set of hoppers, again, blocks on the sides, you're going to have to place a block down here, like here, to place the comparator on top of. Pistons facing backwards. Temporary block, observer pointing outwards, like so, on both sides. And then the kitty corner ones, not here, like so, and then pointing into this guy. And hoppers out the back of this. And then stop here, like so. And then for the second set, blocks out the back, comparators, piston, observer facing backwards, 2 of them kitty corner, 1 of them into the solid block. Same thing on the other side. Hoppers on the sides of the droppers, up 1 block, run these back, and then just stop there for now, like so. And then the same blocks to make this non-spawnable, so these 4 blocks right here, these 2 over here, these 2 over here, and these 2 down here, and then glass on these 3 blocks, this block, these 2 blocks, that block, this one, and then lights here and here, and then any uncovered hoppers on the lower levels we can place composters on top of, but not here. Composters like so. You can also place composters on these 2 blocks. And then it's just the same pattern again. So blocks here and here, blocks here and here. So the second block is to place the comparator on top of. Pistons facing backwards. Temporary block, observer. Same thing on the other side. And then the kitty corner observers, like so. Observer placing into the solid block. And then hoppers going back. You can actually run these all the way over to above the observer like that, or above these composters here, and these ones will actually run 1 block further as well. And then solid blocks here and here, comparators out the back, pistons, and then observers facing backwards, observers facing forwards, 2 of them, and then into the solid block. Same thing on the other side. And then hoppers on the sides, hoppers up, and then we'll connect those in a second. All right, let's place carpet on top of these 2 observers right here, and then we'll set up the hoppers. So these 2 hoppers, you want to go up 1, and then put droppers on top of all 4 of these ones right here. And then hoppers going down into all of those. And then these 2 middle ones are going to go in 1 block. These 2 side ones are going to go in 2 blocks. And then in 1 more, or into the middle here like this. So you got this coverage right here. And then these 2 are going to come over here. So these 2 point into that. And then 2 more pointing into those from the middle there. So this is where you're going to place soul sand. Right here, and so you should have hoppers pointing out of them. They should be chains. Get a better look at this, like here. Your hopper should like that, and then you place soul sand on top of these 6 blocks. And then the coverage for preventing spawns is a little different here. You still want to put glass on these 3 blocks here, and sea lanterns for the light level. So sea lanterns down there. And glass on these 3 blocks, like so. Sea lantern over on this side. And then you can actually just put glass on top of this entire roof here if you wanted to, all the way across, so none of the rest of this matters. And then don't worry about the middle section just yet. You can put glass over these, like so. And then glass on this back row, but you want to leave these 6 blocks open because we're going to run hoppers and droppers all the way up there, and then glass on this side as well. Or any other block that's non-spawnable, or solid blocks with carpets on top of them, whatever you want. You can put composters on top of these 2 hoppers right here, on this side and that side right there. And then let's set up these hopper chains down here. So you want to do droppers on top of these guys, hoppers on top of those, droppers on top of these 4, hoppers on top of all 6, droppers, hoppers. The droppers could be hoppers, it's just less lag to have droppers over hoppers. And then droppers again, and then hoppers again, like so. And then you can place the soul sand on top of these 6 hoppers, and composters on top of the rest of these hoppers here, like so. All right, and then all you got to do is place your wither roses, 12 of them, and then glass to encage the area. It doesn't have to be glass necessarily. Anything you want, just need to encage it, like so. Don't need any block down there, but whatever. And then you just got to go all the way up to the top of the portal here. And you can put a roof or you cannot. They actually can't get out. Doesn't really matter. All the way up like so. Now you're going to want to throw some items into the system to find out on the overworld which side of the portal they spit out of. You will be able to get these items back, so throw a decent amount in there, and then you can just throw it on the soul sand, and then give it a second for it to go through the system. And then you'll probably, in survival, you'll probably want to go through that portal down there, but I'm in creative, so I can just go through this portal here. And then let's go over to our portal here, and it should be fairly clear which side they spit out of. So in my case, it spit out of the north side. So that's the side I want to build my water channel on. Once you know what side of the portal the items are going to come out of, you want to build a cage around it, like so. It just needs to go 3 blocks tall up to the top of the portal itself and come out 1 block, like so. And then you can place water in the top 2 blocks. You can actually just place water in all 6 blocks you want, if you want. But either way, you need them all to be source blocks, and you can also do that just by placing kelp. And you will need kelp for a later step, so kelp seems easier. And then come on down to the bottom here and replace these 2 glass blocks with soul sand. Again, it doesn't need to be glass. It's just kind of nice to be able to see what's happening. And then, so these should be bubble columns now, so any items will just fly right back up, as we saw the kelp happen. And then place slabs right there to block off the water. And then start building a water channel out to either side, doesn't really matter. Make sure it's at least like 7, 8 blocks long. And then place a water source at the end right here. And then you can remove these 2 slabs. And so all the items will come up and they'll hit this, and that will make the items go down this water thing right here. And anytime there's a break in the water channel, place some packed ice. You can use regular ice if you don't have light sources nearby. And I like using trapdoors, but you can use signs or fence gates or anything like that. That'll stop the water flow, and then you can continue the water off as far as you need to. We'll talk about item handling in a little bit. For now, you do want to set up some sort of item handling, like going into a chest or something like that, because a lot of items are going to come through once we set everything up. You can just burn them in lava if you want to and then set up the item handling, or you can set up the item handling now. But, you know, like I said, I'll talk about item handling later in the video. For now, we're going to actually set up the actual farm. But you do want to make sure that you've got something doing. You're not just throwing all the items into the water. It will cause quite a bit of lag. To set up the actual farms, we want to come back down here to where we found our center. And so whichever block you didn't place the portal on, so remove those 2 blocks, place 2 blocks there and 2 blocks on the other side. And then go out 5 more blocks on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these should be 12 blocks long on both sides. And then go out 8 more blocks. So it should be a total of 9 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 blocks. And then come and finish this all up. And then do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to make sure I counted that one right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 total, that's correct. And then you got to bring these up, all the way up, like so, all the way to the top of the portal frame here. Do that with all 4 walls. You don't necessarily have to use glass for the inner sections of the wall here, but I do kind of recommend it. It helps you see what's going on. And I don't know, I haven't checked if like glass or other blocks have an effect on the spawns or anything like that, so I can't be sure. One thing I can say though is when we go up this wall, we want some glass panes here, so we'll go all the way up here. So this wall is the only one that's different from the other ones. So this wall, you want glass block at the bottom portal frame, glass pane, and then air up at the top. So just this all the way across, glass and pane, and then air, and then you can finish off the ceiling here. And then fill in all the rest of this, you know, solid block border, glass or whatever for the walls for everything like that. It should look like this when you're done. Leave the roof open, although you might want to place some lights up there, otherwise you might get some spawns. The easiest way I found to set up the water is to come over here and come 3 blocks down from the top and place a layer of something that's super easy to remove, like dirt or netherrack or something like that, and just run that across the whole layer here. And then once you've done that, you want to fill the layer just above that with water source blocks. And you can do that by placing water on every other block. And you can do that, you just need to do that to 2 different sides. And then it'll fill it all the way across over to this corner as well. And on that same layer of water, you want to place slabs that are on the top of the block so that it preserves the water source. And if you accidentally double place blocks, make sure to fix the water source and then place the single slab like so. Do that all the way across the whole layer. For this next step, I recommend that you set up a conduit. This can be done without a conduit, but it'll take a lot longer and it won't be quite as easy. And I also recommend that you have all the items you need in your inventory, because as long as you stay in this area, guardians won't spawn. But if you leave the area and have to go back for items, guardians might spawn, and that will make everything a lot more difficult, both in placing the blocks around the guardians and not dying to the guardians. So it's a lot easier if you stay in the area. If you bring everything you need, you will need 21 stacks of kelp. You can do it with less, but I recommend you just bring 21 stacks of kelp. You can fairly easily gather 21 stacks of kelp from the area, and you will also need 70 soul sand, so a little over 1 stack of soul sand. And again, I recommend you have all of that in your inventory, and then you're going to pillar up here and then break in through here and start breaking all these blocks here that you place that are easily removable, and that'll fill the whole area with water. I also recommend you bring an invisibility potion just in case, so if guardians do spawn and you have problems, then you can drink that potion real quick, and maybe don't wear any armor, and that might make things a little easier. And then once you've got the whole area filled with water, then you're going to come down and you're going to fill everything all the way up, all of these blocks with kelp, all the way up. It's going to take a little while, but it's not too hard. Like I said, you can do this without 21 stacks of kelp, in which case you'd have to come down and then break the kelp and then do the next layer. But it's a lot easier to keep track of what you've done if you just fill this entire area all the way up to the top with kelp. Once you've got the whole area filled with kelp, or at the very least all of these water blocks need to be source blocks, you can swim on down to the bottom, and I recommend you remove the kelp first. Make it a little easier to place the soul sand if you're not working around the kelp. And then you're going to want to replace all these prismarine blocks at the floor level with soul sand. So, and you want to do this in an organized fashion so that you're not going over the soul sand, because if you swim over the soul sand, it's going to throw you way up. So you want to do it as organized as possible so that you're going in a row, and then you'll probably have to break out the end again and just replace the glass. But just replace all these blocks for this whole level with soul sand. Feel free to swim on up to the top and recollect all your kelp. You'll need it for the other side as well. Now, if you stay tight to this area as you leave, you might be able to do the next step without spawning any guardians. So let's replace the soul sand, or replace the last block of soul sand, replace these glass blocks. You're going to want to pillar on up, all the way up to the top, and then come into this area, and you're going to place water source blocks. You just need to do it every other block, like so. And that should create a water flow that goes all the way into the portal there. And then you're going to want to remove all of these slabs right here, and make sure that you're not standing over anywhere where you remove slabs, otherwise that'll make your life more difficult. And then again, you'll probably just have to like break off the side there in order to get out once you're done. And then go ahead and place a solid block roof on this thing and place some lights up there just to make sure that nothing spawns up here. And then just do all of those same steps on the other side. Once you've done the other side, you no longer need the conduit down here, and then you can set up the Afk area as well. The Afk area should be 120 blocks above your floor. As far as I know, the floor of an ocean monument is always going to be at y equals 39. So if you add 120 to that, then the Afk block should always be at y equals 159. If for some reason your floor is at a different y level, then just add 120 to that. And then whatever that is, that's where you place a block. Probably a glass block would work best at 120 plus that. So see, it's at Y159. And then you can use whatever method you want to get up and down from this area. Or in 1.15, you can actually do portals that are above the nether roof. And that might work really well for this area. The Afk area should, by the way, be in those center 4 blocks. So you can see here we're in the center of 4 chunks like we were with the center down there. And I also recommend placing some leaves overhead. Leaves will prevent phantoms from spawning, and you could use glass or something like that, but then phantoms will still spawn, and phantoms will eat into your mob cap, so leaves will prevent them from spawning at all as long as they are over your head. As far as item collection goes, you can leave the items down here or you can bring them up to your AFK spot. I personally like bringing them up to your AFK spot. That way you can check on the items while you're AFKing, or you can craft the sea lanterns as necessary. So that's what I'm going to do here. And to do that, you just block off your water stream. Well, replace a block with packed ice first. Block off the water stream. Get rid of this carpet mod stuff right now. And then we'll just build a tunnel straight up. Doesn't have to be glass, but build the tunnel all the way up to the Y level of your AFK spot. I ran my tube a little bit higher than my AFK spot because when you do item handling, often that requires dropping items down through sorters and chests and stuff like that. So I ran this a little bit higher. So once you've got your tube all set up, you just need to place water in the top block here. And then we'll swim on down, and I need to place kelp all the way back up. And just like we've done a couple times now, you want to replace this bottom block here with a soul sand block, and it'll turn it into a bubble vader. Now you could just have the water stream run across a bunch of hoppers and drop down into a bunch of chests, but you'd end up with a whole bunch of fish that are basically useless. So I highly recommend using a sorting system. This is the bog standard sorting system by Impulse SV. I will provide a link in the description. I've run over it through it a few times on various tutorials. I'm not going to cover it again here. It's a very standard sorting system. So what we want to do though with the water stream is we want to run it this way. So I'm going to break this block in a minute, but I don't want to have the water just flowing out all over the place. So we'll run the water stream this way, but before we do that, we actually want to run it into a double chest here, like so, and that will align the items so that they run right across the edge of the hoppers. And so we need to place a block there so that the water stream gets diverted that way, and then we'll run the water stream this way, like so. And then over the hoppers here, we want to place some panes. And then now we're clear to break this block. We're also going to need to put a ceiling over this, like so, so that the items don't fly up in the air. And then you'll see that they're running right alongside the hoppers. And then we'll complete the water stream. Same way we've done every other water stream up until this point. Let's pick up those items. And you'll see they're running right up across the sorting system, and all the items are getting sorted. And you're going to need at least 2 sorters for Prismarine Crystals. That'll get most of the items, and like 1% might get through just every once in a while. They'll come through so fast that these 2 won't catch it. So if you want to get them, absolutely all of them, you're going to need 3 sorters for Prismarine Crystals. You're going to need 5 sorters for Prismarine Shards. And you can set up a sorter for fish if you want to. They're kind of useless, so I almost don't recommend it. But if you want to, you can set up 1 sorter. I would not set up any more than that, or you'll get completely overloaded with them. And then everything else, which is mostly just going to be leftover fish, I recommend you just drop it into lava or a cactus or something like that to get rid of it. Otherwise, they will sit around and won't despawn, etc. And that would be bad. So just set up a little lava here. Actually, we need to complete it here because they run on a weird edge, so you actually need 2 blocks of lava. It can be 1 lava source, like so, and then that will destroy the items. And don't forget to put... There we go. So, yeah. So that's how I recommend you set up a sorting system. If you want to put the items into shulker boxes, there is another video on my channel for a 2-wide shulker box loader. That's this right here. And what's nice about this shulker box loader is that you can actually make it a double speed shulker box loader simply by putting another input on the other side. So you can, as long as these 2 sorters are sorting the same item, you can load both of them into a single shulker box loader, and it will load them twice as fast as well. And you can also use some chests to provide some item buffers if you want to have a little bit of extra item storage in case everything gets backed up and there's no shulker boxes in the system. Those will store extra items just in case. This is the system I use for my survival world. It employs both the sorting system and the shulker box loaders, plus an additional system. This was designed by Ilmango. I've modified it a bit. This is a crafting system, and I've modified it so that it has two dispensers right here and then two inputs over here. I'll go over this in a little bit, but I've got two sorters here for Prismarine Crystals. So a few of them do get through, but that allows me to use only one shulker box loader. And then I've got 4 sorters for Prismarine Shards. You still end up with quite a bit of them from the 4, so I do allow some of those to get through. And then there's no sorters for fish. And these 4 sorters here mean that I only have to use 2 shulker box loaders for the Prismarine Shards. And then there's item elevators over on the side over here that send the items over here into the chest for the crafting system. And so what this is this will just dispense out shulker boxes for you. And I've emptied this one so that I can demonstrate. If I pull the item out, it will crush that shulker box, send the box down here, and then dispense out the next one. And it's got some storage over here. It keeps all the shulker boxes that come through the system. And then you can use the crafting tables to grab all the items, craft them together, and then turn around and then place them in these shulker boxes over here. So if you fill one of these shulker boxes, again, it'll break the shulker box and then dispense out another empty one from the storage that it's got over here. And it will put the full ones over here. So I found this to be quite a useful system. I'm not going to do a full tutorial on this, but I will provide this in the world download. This is the system that will be used in the world download. So if you want to copy this, you can use the world download as an example for that. And I've also got my portal up here. Even in 1.14, it's useful to put a portal up here because it would then link to a portal that's down there somewhere. And if you do put a portal down there, make sure it doesn't link up to either of those two portals. But in 1.15, I can use the portal that is above the nether roof, and then I can just come and go through this area, and I never really have to go down there at all. So that's my super fast guardian farm using nether portals. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good one.